Hey dear people, today I want to talk about improvisation because I think sometimes it's not clear how that actually works, right? We have all the scales and all the stuff, and sometimes if we never have been improvising, we don't understand where to start. And if we have been improvising for a while, a tricky question is how to improve and how you can even know that your improvisation has been getting better, because, right, how will you measure it? So today I want to show you some very basic things again, like the pentatonic and one or two chords, and how I would practice improvising over them, right? So let's get right into it. So when I think about what it means to play a good solo, for me it means that the solo sort of reflects my surroundings. If I'm playing with other people, I'm interacting, I'm listening to them. I'm also listening to myself. I can repeat a thing that I played. I can sort of work on an idea that I had. And every time I play this tune, it's a reflection of the tune, sort of, right? It's not just a bunch of chord progressions, but it's also a fresh thing, right? I try to find fresh ideas. I don't always find fresh ideas, and I learned over the years the best way to finding fresh ideas in your solo is to allow yourself to just play a solo, maybe very relaxed, not too many notes, and allow yourself to play the stuff that you always play, and just accept that. Just to say, like, I'm going to play many choruses, I'm going to allow myself to play many choruses. I'm going to just like warm up in the improvisation itself, playing stuff that I know. And most of the time, at a certain point, something new is going to come and inspire you. And then you want to be so flexible and you know your instrument so well that you can sort of riff on this idea, develop this idea, because you haven't been learning licks, right? But you have been learning your basic stuff, like the scales and the arpeggios and everything that helps you to know your fretboard and that helps you develop ideas. Because we guitar players, of course, we have so many ways of playing the same thing. It can be quite confusing. So it's good if we understand our fretboard, because they will help us be flexible. If we only know a lick and we don't know what's actually going on there, we can't play so many variations, right? Because then we leave sort of the pathway that we have been practicing. And we don't know where the road leads us then. So we want to know like all the roads. And all the roads is like the arpeggios and the pentatonic and the scales. And don't decline them or don't talk negative about them. It sounds a little stupid, but you know, one way why we think jazz improvisation is so complicated, which is it's actually not, is that we think we always have to play so sophisticated. We have expectations, how we're supposed to sound. We want to play bebop lines, we want to sound like Pat Martino, we want something, right? But if we just can let go of that wanting something and rather going into an exploration mode and not judging ourselves too harshly if it doesn't sound so cool, then we're up to some great like improvisational adventure. So I'm going to show you how I would work on a tune that I feel a little stale over because I've been playing it so much. So we have this chord, maybe a B flat minor 7, 11. So I'm going to record it on my freezer, then I have the sound and I can just like try stuff on top of it, right? So let's freeze it. And now I'm just going to play something very simple, just the B flat minor pentatonic. I'm going to sing along. It's the root. That's home. So now I have my scale and my sound together, right? This is already enough for an improvisation. I have a chord, I have a scale, I can play over that for hours, right? So, but I don't want to play the way I would always play, so I'm going to play very slow and very conscious, not let the fingers do the walking, right? And restrain myself from playing shit that I know, sorry. And just look if I find something. After a while I add another chord to it, maybe a G major chord. Right, so I would have a G major, B flat minor. And then I could play an inversion of the G major. Then I already have kind of a interesting way of connecting those two chords, right? And since I know my music theory a little bit, it helps me to get ideas. They don't necessarily sound great, they don't necessarily work, but it helps me have like a map of thoughts that I can go to. So I can think, okay, B minor 7, that's very close to B minor 7, I would think. So why not play the B minor 7? The B minor pentatonic on top of this chord. And then just to be sure, I would very quickly check which notes in the B minor pentatonic would sound out over the G, right? So the B would be a third, the D would be a 5, the E would be a 6, the F sharp would be a major 7, and the A would be a 9. So not the worst choice of notes. So I can basically just take this pentatonic and play it a half step higher and change between those two chords. And I start just by playing the pentatonic again. To play the same idea in one pattern and shift it along, right? So B flat minor coming up, I would maybe play the same thing. Don't be afraid of the little melodies, right? Just play something really, really simple. And in this case, it's so interesting because, right, if you probably know the B flat minor, if I would play those 3 notes, what we'll hear is a root, a minor third, and a 4, right, on the B flat minor. And the root on a chord has a certain notion, certain feeling to it. The feeling is home. We're at home, it's stable. But if I just like move the same pattern on the G major, because I'm playing another chord now, right? The B is not the root on the G major anymore, right? It's the major third. It has another quality it defines if it's major or minor actually. Then we have the D, which is a 5, and then we have a 6. Which is like a color note, which sounds great. And I immediately would think, oh, can I play a chord maybe with this note in it? So I can then play and really listen how the note sounds. And the notes, and that's the tricky part maybe, sometimes can tell us they want to go somewhere. You can also think about it differently, like it feels maybe dissonant or not very calm. It feels like it wants to move. The note is not stable, right? There are lots of names for attention release. There's tension. You won't stop on this note. Let's say it like this, or you even feel it's a wrong note sometimes, right? So if we hit a note like this, we can just continue our line. So what I want to do now is stay with the same chords, but I'm going to play like B flat Dorian. Over the B flat minor 7 chord, so just to have a little bit more options, right? I have color notes now that I didn't have in the pentatonic. And then over the G major in the inversion, I'm just going to play G major scale. And what I'm basically doing now as an exercise, and what I'm doing now is I'm trying to play long lines. Because if I force myself to not stop, I will hear maybe more where the notes lead. Think about it like a never-ending line that sometimes maybe goes somewhere that you didn't expect, but then you can still get back into it. Let's hear it. I can't really describe it, I think. So I have been starting to play in 8 notes only, right? This is a restriction. I'm not giving myself the absolute freedom to play whatever I want, because if I want to practice improvisation, this is going to be like a burden, right? Because then how do I expect myself to sound great all this time and then play a solo? For me, that doesn't work. But what works for me is to say, now today I'm going to practice those 2 chords from this tune, right? And I'm going to connect them. I'm going to really hear how they connect, right? So that's it for today, and see you next week. Bye.